How do you introduce yourself in a video? Oh, hi! Okay, so it's my very first video and I'm going to make a review! It's so weird. It's like just talking to my camera, which is like a single person, while actually you could be... Oh my god! The whole world will be able to see me. I give myself to the lions! The purpose of this video will be to make a review of a tablet that XPPen sent me a few time ago. No, this won't be a tutorial. I know, you're disappointed. I know. That being said, know that I would like to create tutorials, but maybe through a different platform, like Patreon or something. But I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do it because it takes time and it demands to be super organized, but I have so much work to do. So making this review was a nice occasion to try myself at producing this kind of content. It was also a good occasion during this self-isolation to just get dressed. In the top, at least, if you know what I mean. Okay, so before I start, you probably noticed that I have an accent. A sexy accent, I hope. It's because I am Belgian. I speak French normally. English is not my first language, so I try my best. And I will do mistakes, and there are probably a lot of words that I can't say properly. Like, you guys have some words it's impossible to say. Squirrel, 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 squirrel. Did I say it well? What a word. C'est n'importe quoi. First of all, I'm going to tell you about what I'm using in terms of device. You're allowed to ask this question: what kind of tablet you use, what kind of pencil you use, what kind of software, what kind of shoes, what kind of pillow, what kind of knife, what kind of spoon, what kind of... Anyway, I already answered that question before and it's in a highlight story in my Instagram. But I think all artists are doomed to answer this question until they die. So I will answer you again here. Because I'm a nice person, super patient, and I like to share. So I use the iPad Pro with all the fingerprints here, because I'm gross. And also the Apple Pencil. And yes, I don't know how to say that in English. Let's say the truc. I lost the truc because I'm a messy person. Clumsy as well. Is the first generation? Don't ask me about the second one, I don't know. And the app I use is Procreate, and it's been 2 years maybe that I use the iPad Pro and Procreate. But I'm here to tell you about XPPen. The purpose is not to make the promotion of it. I'm not going to say, yes, it's perfect, trust me, go buy it now. My goal is really about sharing my experience in the most honest way with you, so maybe it could give you a better idea of what it is. So XPPen asked me if I wanted to try one of their tablets, and since I never used a Wacom cintiq before, cause it's super expensive if you want a really good quality, I thought it was a good occasion to try an alternative. I tried a Wacom cintiq once at the LBX Expo last year, but I didn't draw a whole piece on it, you know? I'm not gonna be able to make the comparison with this specific device, unfortunately. Wacom, if you hear me. Okay, I got the XPPen 22E Pro. It's like a second monitor that you plug into your computer and on which you can directly draw. Since my only reference point is the iPad Pro, which is a really different device, I will try to share my point of view depending on my workflow and my habits. So, let's go! So basically it comes with everything you need. The device seems pretty nice in the first look. There is a USB, an HDMI, a VGA cable, charging cable, power block of course, etc, etc. There are two rechargeable stylus with extra nibs, and there's even a really fancy glove. Oh yeah! And this is so satisfying. I know you can relate. Overall, the product gives an impression of solidity and quality, honestly. There's an adjustable stand already set on the tablet, which is very practical. You don't have to play the handyman to set it, and it seems very robust. There are 16 shortcuts, 8 on either side of the screen, which gives you an easy access to the shortcuts you like to use often, and given the large size of the device, it can be really practical. The screen is 21.5 inches and the resolution is 1080 by 720. It's bulky, but it allows you to have a really comfortable workspace. The screen is matte finish, so if you don't like the slippery effect of glass that you can find with the iPad, for example, you will love the slightly textured feeling of it. The stylus is very light, which gives you a little cheaper feeling, but still it's pleasant to use and it has a very easy grip. There is no eraser at the top, which forces you to use the actual tool in your software, but I guess it's a matter of a habit. I personally never used the eraser at the top of my stylus when I was drawing, so it's not an issue for me. About colors, well, the colors seem slightly yellowed and a little duller than on my iMac screen, I have to say. You can see it here with this flesh color. Here is what the same tone looks like on the XP Pen screen and on the iMac screen. It's possible to adjust the temperature of the screen with this small button at the bottom of the device, but I think 6000 Kelvin seems the best balance, because the others come out either too cold or too hot. I also noticed that the contrast needed to be slightly modified, especially if you work in a very reduced opacity. Imagine that you have your sketch layer and that you lower its opacity to do your cleanup on a layer on top, for example. If the opacity goes below 10%, the drawing will disappear, while on the iMac it's still visible. So I fixed this problem through the same menu below the device by adjusting the contrast to 46 or 47, and the drawing appears again. Okay, now it's time to actually try it. So first of all, I tried it with simple strokes and basic brush. I used the thin and precise brush first. The straight lines tend to be a bit shaky, as you can see here. They are little waves. Even with a straight object, because I don't have a ruler just under my hand, the problem is still there. The waves appear more if you have a moderate pace though. If your gesture is faster, you will have straighter lines. It's also mostly perceptible with the precise brush. If I use a more bigger and texture brush, you see that it tends to be less visible. And it's better also if you zoom in your Canva, because it allows you to be more precise, of course. The curves are okay, but same in straight lines, if you work with the zoom out, you might have some angles appearing in your strokes. Same for the big curves. It's always better if you zoom in a little bit or if you have a faster gesture. Hatching is okay, but I noticed that there are a little lag, maybe due to the speed of the movements. So here you need to maybe slow down a little bit your pace when you are drawing. There is a little delay between the strokes and your gesture. You can see it well in slow-mo here. It's of course more accentuated in slow-mo. It's not so bad when you are actually drawing, but it's just so you can see well. Nothing to say about the pressure, it's really good. There are like 8,000 levels of pressure. I guess it's a lot. And it feels really smooth and fluid and it's perfectly responsive. Okay, so now let's try it in a whole piece. But first, let's talk about parallax, because yes, there is a bit of parallax. For those who don't know what this is the little amount of space between the nib when it hits the screen and the cursor under it. It's due to the thickness of the screen. It's the problem that you can adjust in the pen settings, but unfortunately there's always a little feeling of gap. It's the most common issue, I think, with this kind of tablet, no matter the brand. Until they find a way to build the screen as thin as paper, you will always have parallax. So, as I said, I never really used the cintiq. The tablet I was using before I switched to the iPad was a Wacom Intuos Pro. It was pretty nice, but I needed to look at my computer screen while my hand was drawing on the tablet, which was frustrating for me, because I have always tried to have the most comfortable tool as possible, the most effortless. I like the use to be as natural as possible. As a lazy and very demanding artist, I hate having to adapt myself to a tool for it to be effective. I want the tool to be adapted to me so I can be effective, you know? I'm not saying that a specific device will make you a bad or a good artist, of course, it doesn't change your skills. But it changes the fact that you can be really free in your creativity and productivity when you have a tool that is well suitable. It's really interesting for me to try this tablet then, because I need to see if I can find this natural workflow I'm looking for on every device I use. I decided to create this peaceful illustration. Just the simplicity of an interaction of love to share some good vibes with you guys, because I guess we all need it during these troubled times. The overall feeling I had when I was drawing was good. The big screen is comfortable because it offers you a really nice workspace and it's visually interesting. It also allows you to have an ease of movements, but it hurts the neck, so think about stretching sometimes. Maybe you can improve that by adjusting the stand though, but I don't know. Stretch anyway, it's always good. I had some trouble with the thin lines of precision sometimes when I was working from a middle zoom view, so I needed to zoom a lot to achieve what I wanted. The pressure of the stylus is really sensitive, really soft and smooth, really nothing to say. But I have to say that I was a little disturbed by the tiny delay there is between the strokes and my movements. I'm so used to use iPad Pro where delay barely exists. I got used to it eventually, but it means that I had to adapt myself, right? That said, it's just my feeling, it's not really a big issue. I think you can easily get used to it, but it's a review, you know, so I'm being super picky. It's my job for you. That said, even with a tiny delay, it's well responsive to the gesture and it has a nice flow. I used the blending mode a lot to do my lighting, and they were a bit misleading because the colors appeared a bit yellower than on the other screen, so I had to refer at my iMac screen to be sure of the result. I also needed to make some final tweaks on the final image to fix the levels and the contrasts, but I did it. I made a whole piece on it and here is the final result. I hope you guys like it.
Conclusion! Well, I made a whole piece on it, and pretty easily, I must say. Honestly, working on it was easy. No big issue, you get used to the little lack of precision, but even for me, who is pretty picky, I ended up to be used to it, so it's not a big problem. Compared to the price, like, I prefer to show you because I'm super bad with numbers in English. So compared to the price, it's a little self-adaptation that I think
we can support. It's still a budget though, but I think it's not so expensive for this kind of device, especially compared to a Wacom cintiq. So it's cheaper, but it doesn't feel cheap when you use it, so it's a really good point. Finally, I asked you if you had some question about the tablet in my Instagram, and here is some of them that I'm going to answer. Is it a good alternative to Wacom cintiq? Yes, definitely. I think for the same kind of level of tablets, for a lower price, you have a really nice quality. You pay way more if you use a Wacom. Is it robust? Does the cable look fragile? It seems robust, and the solidity doesn't seem to be an issue here. Whether it's the screen or the cables, there is just the stylus, which feels cheaper because it's very, very light. Is the pen gonna worn out? Well, I think you can draw a lot already before you worn out the nib, but you have extra nibs anyway if you need a new one. Does it need a special glove? No. You can use it if you want to, but you don't have to. I personally don't like to use glove. I think it's annoying, but maybe if you have wet hands. Price and software, Windows or iOS. So it costs this price. You can use it with both Windows or iOS, and you can use it with several software like Photoshop, Illustrator, ZBrush. And about Photoshop, guys, if you're looking for a free alternative to Photoshop, yes, free, there is Krita. It's an open source software that can interest you. You can ask Google to check that out for you. Krita. Can I eat it? Does it draw? Let me ask it. XP pen. Here is the stylus. Can you draw? Come on! Make a drawing of me! I need exposure. No! Your hands do draw. Magic. Quality of driver. I didn't have any issue with the driver. It's a more technical part, and I'm a perfect noob in this area. But I guess that drivers are always better at each update. Do I need such a tablet if I have an iPad Pro? Is the outcome better? Well, to be honest here too, I don't think you need this tablet if you have an iPad Pro. If you don't have the specific need of Photoshop or a software that you use only on computer, in my opinion, it's not necessary. And the outcome isn't better because I needed to refer to my iMac screen to be sure of the result of the colors. Ease of use for someone without any experience in similar system. Getting started with this tablet is really easy. It's pretty instinctive. And if you are interested to have the feeling to directly work on your drawing, it's a really nice product. Okay guys, that's it! I hope it helped you to have a better idea of what is this tablet and that I could answer some questions you were wondering. And also, I hope that you enjoyed this video, even if you don't care about graphic tablet. Feel free, guys, to make some more research because there are a lot of products out there that could be interesting for you depending on your needs, depending on your budget, depending on your use of it. And it's always good to compare different reviews because all artists haven't the same workflow and then the same feelings, so it's always good to find out from different sources and make your own opinion. Okay, so I don't know how to conclude this video. Bye!